What up guys, Commander here. Welcome to a new video where I'm going to be talking about and reviewing the latest Halo Infinite update. So, on Tuesday, December 6th, for anyone who's watched this in the future, 343 Industries released their end-of-year update for Halo Infinite, and saying that the community was pleasantly surprised would be an understatement. At the beginning of November, 343 released Forge as part of their winter update, but it was lacking the custom games browser, which allows players to search through custom games like it was matchmaking and going through these custom maps and custom game modes that people have created. And it's bad for people like me who live in different time zones to a lot of people in Discord servers I'm in, as well as not having the time to collect a bunch of people together for a custom game, which is where the custom games browser does come in use. However, as part of this latest update, 343 has released the official custom games browser for Halo Infinite, and it is amazing, but buggy, but we'll get to that later. First though, what else has 343 added to this update? Well, a brand new map for Arena, which is a remake of the pit from Halo 3 called Empyrean. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't actually know this. I've never actually heard, as of recording this audio, anybody saying it out loud, so it's on screen now what the name is called, what the name of it is called. I think it's Empyrean, but I'm not entirely sure. Also, all armor cores are now free, and the cadet colours, basic colours, so like your red, your green, your blue, your purple, whatever, are now free across all cores, and will be for any future cores that 343 release. Mouse and keyboard improvements have also been added, as well as red reticle returning, and desync improvements, including vehicle desync, as well as dead melees, have also been improved and fixed as well. So as you can see, it's mostly bug fixes. However, it does add some new content with the new map, and 343 have also made it one step further to adding everything universal across all armor cores. First step was the visors, and now it's the basic armor colours. Now, you'll be forgiven for thinking this isn't really a lot, for the armor cores especially, but it's quite a crucial step. Yes, I would love to use my Mark V coatings on my 10 right armor core, however, one step at a time, we will have it soon, and that I'm confident for. The red reticle is something that doesn't sound as important as it is. The red reticle is essentially the function where your weapon reticle will turn red when it's at its effective range of fire when it is aimed at an enemy. So, for example, if you have a skewer, your reticle will turn red when you're hovering over an enemy player, so you know when to fire. But if you're too far away from that player for the weapon to have any effect, it won't turn red. It's a simple feature, but one that makes a huge difference when you're playing multiplayer. The new map called Empyrean is basically a remake of the pit from Halo 3. And while I personally prefer the original, because I think this one in Infinite looks too clean and cyberpunky for Infinite, it's still a solid remake and exactly the same as the original structure of the original, so that I can't complain about. The addition of the scrap cannon as a mounted turret is also something that I thought wouldn't really work that well, and I thought it'd be too OP for this map based off of what we see in campaign. However, consider this map is very built up, and the scrap cannon takes a while to warm up to its full fire rate before it's really effective against enemy Spartans, it balances out really quite well in this map. So, now we've got the details out of the way, let's talk about the main part of this update, the custom games browser. The addition to this in Halo Infinite has, while not been perfect, it's nothing short of amazing. Custom games browser allows you to play all the official games that you want to play, like Infection, until 343 releases it, or non-official game modes like Duck Hunt or Mario Kart, which are just as fun if not more fun. And it also allows you to play the basic modes that you play in normal matchmaking in custom maps like, let's say, Banished Narrows or Mario Peach's Castle or something like that, or some of the other ones I've made, or Blood Gulch, the big map, you know, the original from Halo Combat Evolved. This adds more fun to Infinite and makes it playable for longer periods of time, because members of the community can create maps and modes at a much faster rate than 343 can. And while normal matchmaking is the more official and most of the time more polished way of playing matchmaking, I do get bored with playing the same modes and the same maps over and over and over again. So when I do just jump into customs to play some Sumo and Razorbacks or Duck Hunt on a Mario style map or Slayer on a Nuketown remake, it makes Infinite so much more playable for so much longer. Some of my favourite custom games I've played so far is the Infection on this little small map. I can't quite remember what it's called, but when I jumped into it I thought this map was going to be a little too small for Infection, but the addition of higher places as well as interiors of the buildings, one with a chain gun which makes it really good for defence when you armour up properly, it works surprisingly well. One of my new favourite custom games at the moment is Duck Hunt, which is where you and a team have got to get past an obstacle course, a multi-layered obstacle course, where between 1 and 3 others on a separate platform are sniping you before you get to the end. It's simple yet so effective. If you're the duck running, it matches the skill of being fast while being tactical. If you run for it all the way to the end, there's a very high chance you'll get shot instantly, especially if the snipers on the enemy team have good aim. However, if you take it too slow, the other players on your team will get to the end before you and kill the snipers, which kind of defeats the objective of you playing the game mode at all. So you need to be speedy whilst being tactical. If you've been shot, hide and wait for your shields to recharge, and then run and stop behind any cover you can find for about a second before continuing, unless you feel like you want to run for it, but make sure you get to cover every now and again just to be safe. Another one that I'm a fan of is the remake of Glutch, which is the most classic Halo map you can find and one of my constant favourites over the Halo games, and this edition is no different. 2 sides with tanks and power weapons littered across the battlefield makes for some really fun gameplay, and the input of teleporters back in as well is a lot of fun. I played this map on Slayer, and while at the time of writing this script I haven't had the chance to play it on CTF, I think the CTF is the best game mode for this map to play on. Mainly just because it's like a BTB map, but because it's so open it doesn't quite suit Slayer that well. Whereas with the addition of an objective like capture the flag, it adds that bit of objective type thing. So you've got half your team defending whilst the others are going in and defending. Whereas if you've got everybody running around the map, it gets a bit chaotic. And being a Star Wars fan, how can I not talk about the Bespin and Duel of the Fates maps created in Forge? Bespin is a small yet simple map, best for Slayer or attrition. However, the customs leader put us into a CTF match for some reason, which didn't actually work for the game mode because it is because it is such a small map. And then there's Duel of the Fates, which impressed me even more. So many different levels with jump pads and blue and red swords as well as repulsors to give you the feeling of actually being a Jedi fighting a Sith or vice versa, which I thought was a really good and innovative idea. Now obviously there are bugs in custom games, and a lot of them there are, such as some custom servers just being straight up broken and crashing for no reason, and just disconnecting me from the team and putting me in an endless loop of you have been disconnected on the splash screen, where the only way to get rid of it is to restart the whole game. Another one I noticed, which is not exclusive to customs, is that occasionally you'll find a bot that's invincible for a period of time, which considering these bots can be really quite tough at times, it's a problem that needs to be solved, especially if you're going to be playing Infection and you don't want to have one of those guys as a zombie. However, 343 has stated that this version of CGB will have bugs that they are looking at deploying a hotfix to try and fix some of them, if they haven't already when this video goes out. But they did say they'd rather get this version out that's usable, to say the least, out as soon as possible rather than keeping it back until it's perfect, which is something that I very much welcome so long as it's actually functioning in its basic form. It's things like this that make me sort of have hope for Halo Infinite. I went through a period of thinking of giving up on this game, especially when we saw the roadmaps for Infinite's winter update in Season 3. I was less than impressed, and lots of the community felt the same, and there was good reason to as well. However, when 343 throws something like this at us, and that we did not expect whatsoever, it doesn't completely restore faith, but it goes a long way in doing so. Now, my points I made before about wanting 343 to be transparent about the problems with development to try and make us understand what's going on is something I still feel they should do. However, this update proves my other point that they are not a bad company. Like many others claim wrongly that they just made bad decisions, and things like releasing Forge and custom games are two of the good things they've made, and start restoring my faith at least in them, and I think most of the community will feel the same way as well. As I said before, I don't want to be negative when it comes to 343 and Halo Infinite, because I love this game and I love the Halo franchise as a whole. I always have and I always will, but what we saw in September was nothing short of abysmal. And I don't think anyone can blame me or the community for reacting the way that we did when we saw the roadmaps that had so little content within them. 343 has proven with Infinite that they can make a really good and fun Halo experience. Hell, despite what I thought about Halo 4 and what many others thought about Halo 5, the multiplayer for both those games were amazing, and I had so much fun in Halo 5's multiplayer during the Xbox One days, and I had just as much fun on Halo 4's multiplayer on my 360 and then later on my PC. 343 are not a bad company by any stretch of the imagination, At least we get a playable game at launch, unlike Bethesda with their Fallout 76, or EA with their FIFA releases. Now, would I like Halo to go back to the way it was when Bungie was in charge? Yes, because in my opinion, that was the golden age of Halo, and that was the originals. But that's no different for me saying that the golden era of Star Wars movies was the original trilogy. However, I don't agree with everything 343 has done in regards to Halo. I'm happy with the way it's going, despite my previous frustrations, which I still stand by now. However, it seems like we may just be entering a new start to Halo Infinite, and all the criticisms that we have had of 343 before may finally be solved, and they may turn Halo Infinite into the best Halo we've ever had. Hell, DICE even did it with Battlefront 2. Remember that game's launch with all the microtransactions and loot boxes and all the backlash? And then how DICE turned that game around to be my second favourite Star Wars game next to the OG Battlefront 2, and many others' favourite Star Wars game of all time. No Man's Sky, remember that game's release and now look at it. Huge player base, constant new updates that make the game even bigger and so much better than we even expected at launch. Cyberpunk 2077 is another one, a game that had a launch worse than Fallout 76, an absolute bugfest that game was at launch, which led to Xbox automatically allowing people to refund their game. And now, having played it myself with all the improvements and fixes, I can say it's one of the best story-based games I've ever played, or one of the best, if not the best story-based game I've ever played. What I'm trying to say is that just because Halo Infinite has had a rough year, doesn't mean to say that it cannot grow to be one of the best in the franchise. If 343 keep up their plan of this live service for lasting for 10 years with constant updates to the multiplayer and Forge, as well as a bit of campaign DLC here and there, I can see this game making a full 180 and becoming what Battlefront 2, Cyberpunk and No Man's Sky are today. Now, does this mean I'm going to blindly accept everything 343 does from now on and disregard the bad decisions they've made in the past? Of course not. But when something happens that I don't like and it's worth making a video on it, I'll call 343 out on it like I have done in the past. But I will also praise them for doing the good that they have done, like with this update. So that is about all I have time for in this video here. I just wanted to get a few things off my chest, especially considering we're getting to the end of the first year of this game's development. We had such a whole year of various things going on, which we didn't even know whether they were coming or going a lot of the time. And sometimes where we were just losing hope, and then we get hope restored in one way, shape or form, and then we start losing hope again, and then it's all come back to us again. And I remember saying in my previous video talking about Season 3's roadmap, are 343 going to go silent on us? And maybe they will, maybe they won't. And this is sort of starting to restore my faith a little bit. We get to this end of year update where they could have just done a load of bug fixes to things like desync or what have you, but they've given us some new features. One big one being the custom games browser, which will lead me and probably the rest of the community up to Season 3 when they start adding new things in. So I'm really looking forward to that, and like I said, it's starting to restore my faith in 343 a little bit. They still have a long way to go before I can turn around and say that they've got my solid faith for everything they bring out, because they have done lots of wrong things in the past. But I will always call them out on things they do badly, but other things that when they do them correctly, I will praise them as much as I feel I need to. So, anyway, that's all I have time for in this video here. If you like this video, don't forget to smash the like button and hit the subscribe button for more awesome gaming content. And I shall see you all later. Bye!